And in the Buddhist tradition, the road to bliss is very specifically laid out. Very specifically laid out. It's one of the things that attracted me to, and again, as Lindsay said, it's not our purpose here to convert you to Buddhism, at all, at all. You can take pretty much everything that you hear this week, I'd say, and apply it to any of your religious traditions. Because they all are teaching fundamentally the same thing, okay? They're teaching, every religious tradition works because it's teaching the real secret of happiness. Which is what? I already told you. Stop worrying about yourself all the time and worry about somebody else's happiness. And all religions are teaching that, aren't they? What religious tradition do you know that says, be as selfish as possible? That'll work out really well for you. Thou shalt be selfish. You ever read that in any Bible or any Quran or any text at all? Be really interested in only your happiness. Don't worry about other people. Try to elbow your way to the front of the line. That'll work out the best for you. Yeah? Thou shalt kill as many people as possible. Thou shalt steal whenever you can get a chance. Thou shalt take money that doesn't belong to you if you can get away with it. Thou shalt entertain yourself to death. Thou shalt buy more TiVo, more channels. Then you'll be happy. See, who's teaching that? There's one ideology that's teaching that. And all the rest. And that's the one that was invented in 1947 or whatever it was. Consumer capitalism. The competitors to consumer capitalism also didn't work. Communism didn't work. Communism didn't make people happy. And look what happened to communism. Consumer capitalism is on exactly the same track that communism was on. Exactly. Mark my words, okay? I think many people in this room will live to an age where we will see consumer capitalism fall because it doesn't work. Just like people in Germany and East Germany and so forth watch the wall come down. We will watch Mickey Mouse come down. We'll watch the golden arches as sink into the sea. Mickey! Because it doesn't work. Okay, so we have to find one that works, and all the traditions are teaching fundamentally the same secret, because it works. You can be happy only when you stop worrying about yourself all the time and worry about other people. Your own happiness comes from your compassion towards others. Your own happiness comes from the love that you feel towards other people. Your own happiness comes from stop saying, what about me? What about me? What about me? And start saying, what about you? What could I do for you? How could I help you? And all the traditions are teaching that. So in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, we have a very, one of the things that really attracted me to this form of Buddhism, to Tibetan Buddhism, was a thing. We actually have two systems where the entire path is encapsulated in step-by-step procedures. Two systems. The first one's called Lam Rim. Lam Rim, steps on the path. I think that's behind the colon, right? The road to bliss. Bliss. The road to bliss. Steps on the path. Okay? That's an English translation for what they call the Lam Rim. And many of you went to hear the Dalai Lama speak on the Lam Rim. I think, as I heard, it was the longest teaching, sustained teaching that the Dalai Lama has ever given on the Lam Rim, in America at least. In the West, maybe. I don't know. Which is very, very fortunate. Very fortunate to have that opportunity to hear the Dalai Lama speak on this. Because the Lam Rim says, you do this, 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 and you're enlightened. It's step-by-step procedure. It's like an owner's manual, only it's not written by people who don't know English. Like you get those owner's manuals for the things like you buy a thing for your kid for Christmas and it's spends 3 days trying to put it together because you can't figure out the owner's manual. Owner's manual is very easy to figure out in the Lam Rim. Very simple. And we're going to go through we'll go through the owner's manual. And it's like you do this, you do this, you do, and it's fine. Now, here's the small print behind the owner's manual. It's not so small actually. First of all, you have to learn it. You have to learn what all the steps are. And you can't just say, well, I think I know them. Just give me the first two, and then I'll just improvise from there. Yeah, just give me a couple of notes, and I'll sing the rest of the song myself. Okay, you have to learn the whole thing, and you have to learn it thoroughly. You have to become the Lam Rim. Your mind has to become the Lam Rim. So, fortunately there's no self there to like clog things up inside. Okay, you're empty of having any kind of real entity self there. So there's plenty of room in there to be the long rim. There's another way of talking about the trade-in. You can give me your old suffering conception of yourself, and I'll give you long rim. I'll give you a long rim. I'll give you the steps, and you become those steps. It means like you get the realizations of those steps. They say do this, and you try to do this, and you meditate on this, and you contemplate on this, and you try to get the fruit, the juices of what that instruction was. And it changes you. You're changed by it, you see. In the East, that's always been the idea about wisdom. Wisdom doesn't mean information. Wisdom means something that's going to transform you. Knowledge that transforms you. Not just like a bunch of facts. The facts are important. You've got to learn what the steps are. You've got to learn the details. But then you've got to meditate on them. You've got to practice them. You've got to put them into play in your life. And then you're transformed by them. They change you. So it's more than just information, more than just data, right? So try to remember that when you're hearing what the long rim is. Don't just think of it as another television show or another internet site. We're inundated with information, right? And as part of our defense mechanism, because we have so much information thrown at us, is we don't pay attention much to anything anymore. I have a very, very short attention span. Very short. This is also something that professors in the audience will know. I've seen this in one generation. You've seen the attention span go down, like maybe a half an hour in one generation. You can't hold an audience for more than an hour and a half anymore, practically. I'm going to hold you for two and a half sometimes. Try. But, they just and nowadays it's even worse. It's getting worse and worse all the time. There are young people who cannot do a single thing at one time. They have to multitask. They cannot concentrate anymore because there's so much information coming. So don't think of spiritual wisdom as just more information, and don't think of it as entertainment either. I try to make some jokes and keep you interested, but it's not. I'm not here to make you smile necessarily. I can't compete with the TV shows because they're so funny, those shows. Those shows are really hilarious. Those comedy shows, those sitcoms, they're so funny. I could never compete with them. So you have to learn that's one of the small tricks, okay? You have to learn what the long rim is. And there are people in this room I happen to know who've been studying Buddhism for quite some time. I bet you don't know what the long rim is. And if you don't know what the long rim is, you can never be transformed by it. You can't just know a little bit. You can't just know this or that, this part of it or that part of it, and expect any transformation to occur. You have to know the whole thing. And then the second thing is, you have to do the long rim. You have to, So if the long rim says, you have to meditate over and over again, for example, on the fact of your death. That's one part of the long rim. Is to meditate over and over again. Is it true that I will die? You meditate on that. I don't want to think about that. That's the part I'd like to skip. Could I please have, in the great supermarket of spirituality, I would not, I'll leave that on the shelf. I'll take this part, I'll take karma. I'll take the karma part. But the death meditation, I don't want that. I'll take a sweat lodge. And then I'll take a little bit of grace. Can I have some grace from the Christian comfort? And maybe I'll take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then you come with your big shopping cart, like the ones that they give you at Costco. You got a Costco out here? Costco also will fall into the sea. It will topple with its own weight. It will topple from its own weight. Like those 20-foot high stacks of consumer goods will just fall into the earth. And you take a big Costco oversized cart because you got to buy so much consumer goods there to the of your spiritual consumer potpourri, and you bring it to the checkout lady and say, "Here's my religion. Please check me out." And you take it home and you try to put it together, and it won't. And then you go like, "Wow, it doesn't run. My religion doesn't work. My car doesn't run." Because, you've got this part from the Toyota, and this part from the Chevy, and this part from the Ford, and you expect it to run. The Chevy will run with its own parts. The Ford will run with its own parts. You see? The Toyota will run with its own parts. But you can't just mix and match. Then again, like, this is another, just another example of how we think we know what's best for us. How we think we actually are our own teachers. We're our own gurus. Because, well, we think we know that, that death thing is like not really appropriate for me. So I'll take the sweat lodge instead, which is better for me. Says who? Says me. Says me, suffering schmuck me, who is never going to get happy that way. So you gotta find a path and commit to it.